Hey there everyone, I figured I'll just show off some of the changes that I've made over the past couple of weeks. I have actually made a lot more changes than I'll be demonstrating because a lot of these changes are under the covers and there's no real kind of visual representation of those changes. So let's punch up the latest build that I have anyway of the community theme creator, and I'll go into the editor, and some of the changes here again are relating to the UI elements list. I've made some visual cosmetic changes just so that things stand out a lot better than they were before. The breaks between the actual group name and that portion of the panel, if you will, there's now a clear and distinct kind of color difference between the contained elements, or the elements contained within the group, and the group itself. Okay, so you can clearly see a break here. That was one change, and just overall kind of snappiness. And actually, as I'm scrolling up and down, these little bubbles here, I've got 4 levels of acceleration. So as you enter the bubble, it's the slowest, and as you gradually move your mouse pointer into the bubble, it goes faster and faster. So that's another change. The hit detection when picking up a group and you want to perform drag drop, same with UI, same with the UI elements, is a lot faster. So if I double click to rename, for example, it's very responsive. And I still have a couple of things to do in this area, but I wanted to tackle the UI elements list first, and then I can talk about the other bit in a second. So yeah, so that was that. So that was UI elements, and again, you know, dragging, dropping, this all works same as it did before, but it's a lot faster. Let's see, change some colors here. I've made the icons smaller, as if you're going to notice that anyway from video to video, but that's what I've done. Things were, you know, I just wanted things to look a little bit neater. Let's see, I will pick on, let me pick this one. So as I'm working on the actual editor itself, there are some, you know, strange behaviors. I mean, it's not intentional, it's just that it's a work in progress. So things, the way that they work in this build are not working the way in which you currently see them in the build that you're using. So don't freak out. This is not how it's going to be going forward. It's just, you know, I'm in between, you know, finishing off various sections of code. All right. So as I place my mouse pointer over the angle dial, for example, okay, and this is what I was talking about. I'm changing code and I haven't completed it, so don't worry about that. So as I change the angle, I'm actually changing the angle using the scroll wheel on the mouse. Okay. So I figured I'd add that because you already have the ability to do that using the cursor keys. So again, you know, you can still drag drag this ellipse around to change it that way and use the cursor keys, and now you can use scroll wheel. But what I've also added too is if when it's highlighted like this, you can either hit the escape key, the backspace key, or delete key, and it will simply reset the angle back to 0. Okay, so I've added fine precision using scroll wheel and the ability to quickly reset the angle back to 0. All right, let's see, and what I'll do as I have this one selected, so I've just increased the depth of the shadow for this UI element, and again if I use the scroll wheel as I let go, it updates like so. And there were some other code changes too that I had made to the angle wheel or the dial. There were a lot of redundant code in there. I've deleted that, and just based on things that, you know, different approaches that I now take, I've implemented those changes into this dial, so it should feel a lot more responsive. I think sometimes when you're actually doing mouse over and expecting it to react to cursor keys and stuff, it wouldn't do it, not on the first go. It should work every time now. So yeah, so a couple of bug fixes and a couple of enhancements just on this one alone. Let me just move that back to here. And I'm currently working on all the sliders. I use a lot of sliders in these properties, and I've got code associated with the text box as well that's linked to the slider. Well, I'm building a single control that has both the slider and the text box. And there'll be some rules that you can feed in, or property rules that you can feed in to say, you know, is it a percentage type value versus a double versus an integer, this kind of thing. And it will show the values, and it'll have lower limits and upper limits, and you'll get a message box if you try and enter a value outside of those limits, and all this kind of stuff. Stuff that you already kind of see today, except the way in which I had kind of rolled out those changes. I've got a whole string of code, and I really don't need that, so I'm condensing it into you know, one common routine, and then that routine will be used for all these properties that use sliders, and therefore that will free up an awful lot of code, and it's a lot faster for me to maintain going forward, a lot easier to read going forward. So again, you know, faster, efficient, easier to maintain, easier to read. And if there is a bug in that area, I fix that one bug, it will fix it for all properties using that control. So several benefits. Now, one of the other changes I'd made too was to this, and unfortunately my camera is in the way. Let's see if I can, I don't know if I can change it while I'm in. Probably not. Let's just see. HUD layout. There you go. Alright. So you move your mouse pointer to the top portion of the editor window, and now you get a menu bar that kind of pops in, and you have the ability to hit minimize. Minimize, do whatever you need to do. You can click on the icon here or bring it back up, or Alt-Tab, whichever way, just like any other Windows application. Minimize, bottom, bring it back. All right, so I've added that. That was actually a request from, I've forgotten the individual's name on the forum, but he is credited in the help about. Let me see. I know there were some other things. Yeah, just bugs and hit detection, drag drop, appearance, toolbar, and let me see, I still have an issue where I've got many issues in this space at the moment. I was working on this because, again, I was freeing up some code, and if you watch some of my previous videos, this window here was actually part of this window. So this was acting like a fake window that you could move around, but I had made a change. I'm trying to remember when, if it was in version 1070 or 1080, and I had actually separated the two, and this became a true window that you could, if you're running multiple monitors, you can actually move this into a different monitor window, into a different monitor space. So I think, with one of those remnants of like 8,000 lines of code or what have you that I went through months ago, I have just one more performance change to make to this space here and here, because what's going on right now, when I click an item, a UI element up here, it sends that request over to this window to say, hey, I'm now, the item that's selected is, in this case, image 5, and then go find it, and once you find it, put a box around it. Okay, I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's essentially what it's doing. And then vice versa, if I click in this space, it will locate the object that I clicked on, and then once it figures that out and puts a box around it, it sends that selected UI element back into this one to say, hey, I've selected that UI element, highlight the group, highlight the item that was selected, and then reload all the properties associated with that UI element in here. Okay, so that's what's going on, and that's all well and good, and it's running a lot faster than the build that you guys are currently using in 1089. But I've noticed, and actually the version that you're using, as you click on stuff, it's doing 4 reloads for whatever reason. Like I said, I think it was just a remnant of when I was transferring code from one area to another. Anyway, it's doing 4 refreshes before it allows input from the user. So that causes a lot of stuff to be very kind of sluggish. But anyway, I've got it down to almost 1 pass. And it wasn't just 4 refreshes, there were some other passes that it was performing as well, which ended up being 4 reloads of this. But anyway, I've got it refreshing this once, but there's still 2 passes into some code that it shouldn't be doing, and I need to get that down into 1 pass. So once I do that, between this space and this one, and then this one and this space, and get that communication down, then it should be super snappy. And because what I'm trying to do, you see, is before I start doing all the heavy lifting work in here to alter, resizing of objects and moving objects and all this kind of stuff, I want to get some of the niggly performance issues out of the way, because once I start chopping and changing code in here and implement more efficient methods, it's going to be tricky to see what's causing any kind of slowdown. All right, so as I haven't incorporated those right now, and I've got some heavy routines that are quite slow in the grand scheme of things, I can easily kind of pinpoint what's causing this slowdown. So focusing on this first, and then circle back and include these new routines that will just accelerate the functionality even more so. All right, so I can't think of anything else that I've done in here. or what I'm planning to do in here. Like I said, I'm working on sliders. Again, this is transparent to you guys. What you see here today is what you'll see tomorrow, but it's just the code behind. The code base will be a lot smaller. So I guess if you look at the exe size whenever I release this version, it should be smaller than the version that you currently have, even though that you'll have more functionality. All right, and it will certainly run a lot faster. All right, I'm going to exit the editor. I haven't done anything in this space, or I don't remember. No, I haven't done anything in there. Purely working on the editor right now. That's my focus. So the test app, still working on this. Obviously, this is these are the new methods and stuff that I'm going to be incorporating into the editor window, so you can move and resize and rotate and all this kind of stuff. I wish I had the prior version of excuse me, this test app, because then I could have had them running side by side and show you just some of the subtle differences between the two, but I don't have the test app or that version anymore. So what I have done is, as you click on the thumbs here for resizing, and this is what you're used to seeing, you see the mouse pointer changing based on how you can resize the UI element. Okay, that's normal stuff. But what you'll notice, especially in the current build that you're using, is that the mouse pointer is not taking into consideration the rotation value, or how much that UI element has been rotated, and therefore the mouse pointer icon will change to the same way it always does, as if there was no rotation. Okay, so it looks off, but in this one, as you can see, bottom right, the mouse pointer icon is going straight, straight up and down, whereas bottom right on this one, it's angled from top left, bottom right. Okay, so this now takes into consideration the overall rotation value of the selected UI element. Again, it doesn't it doesn't mean too much, but again, it's the user experience. You want it to reflect what you're trying to achieve here, and showing an incorrect mouse pointer is just, it's just not right. Okay, so let me see. What I'm working on is width, and this was the other thing too. If you notice, in the current build of the editor that you guys are using, hopefully you're using 1089, when you have an object rotated like so, okay, and on the right hand side you wish to increase the width or decrease the width, you'll notice that the thumb, when you click on the thumb, it does not follow the mouse pointer. Okay, I think there's some distance, like maybe here, this is where the mouse pointer would be, and as I'm dragging, then it's moving. Okay, anyway, so as you can see, I've solved that issue, but I've got some other issues. As you can see, this is shifting, so I've still got that to solve. Okay, and I'm sure there's some other crazy stuff, yep, like that. Yeah, so X and Y coordinate shifting, I haven't solved that one yet, but I just wanted to see, if I can at least solve this problem by resizing a UI element and make it kind of at least follow the mouse pointer. And so far it is. What else? On this one, as you can see, it's resizing the width. Now, this UI element here is a child of this parent, and it's been set to centered. Obviously this is not in the editor, so I can't show the associated properties with it, so you just have to take my word for it. But it is centered, it's got equal space left and right, as you can see. So because it's been set up as centered as opposed to left or right justified, as I alter the width, which is correct, it's automatically centering within the parent. Okay, and again, the mouse pointer is correct based on the rotation. All right, so this child element within this parent, the mouse pointer is correct. All right. So yeah, those are some of the things that I've been working on. To be honest, I worked on those changes a couple of weeks ago, probably right after the last video I had put out, and I haven't really touched the code since, because I noticed there were some performance issues within the editor itself and how it was communicating with the UI element list, and how the UI element list was communicating with the editor window. So I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to take care of that first before going too far down the road on these changes here, because I didn't want those. I wanted to unearth those performance issues and fix them before they're masked by more efficient methods. All right, so once I get some of the other remaining performance issues resolved, which shouldn't take that long, then it will be full steam ahead on focusing on building all the new methods and whatnot for the editor. But anyway, I just wanted to show some of the progress that I've made. I know it doesn't really look like a great deal. Like I said, you know, a lot of the performance stuff is not, there's no kind of real visual other than performance, and obviously that's subjective, you know, because you're not the one running this app. I am in this video. So yeah, so that's currently where I stand, and like I said, performance issues, and maybe some cosmetic changes kind of out of the way, and then it will be full steam ahead on the new editor methods and whatnot. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to share my progress so far. It's been, I think, 2 weeks since the last video, so no one's been messaging me and asking me or demanding when the next version comes out. So again, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I haven't disappeared. I am actually still working and fully supporting this application. All right. So anyway, take care, everybody. Stay healthy, and you know, give me another week or 2 weeks, and I'll put out another progress video. Okay. Take care, everyone.